Yo, what's going on? Delta Neon here, and today I'm gonna be doing a top 10 of the decks in Pokemon Pocket. And we have honorable mentions as well, because I feel like there's a lot of decks that could be highlighted here that aren't maybe the best strategies, but definitely worth taking a look at. So yeah, let's get started. First of all, don't get mad at me. These are my opinions. You could have a deck that cooks, and maybe I just don't see the vision. But first we're starting with Gengar EX. Gengar is a pretty healthy card, has a great ability, does good damage, 3 energy, doesn't discard energy or anything, but it's just very inconsistent being a stage 3, and if you want a stage 3, you want it to be winning you the game, and Gengar just doesn't do that really. Great, like, it's a great option, but it's not winning you the game. And I feel like if you're a stage 3 Pokemon, you need to be winning me the game, or you need to be offering something on the bench that makes you very, very strong. Speaking of bench options that are very strong, we have Greninja. Greninja's an interesting Pokemon. Let's take a look at its dex here. Greninja's an interesting Pokemon. Can do damage from the bench, 20 damage. That stacks up pretty well with Weezing. Able to poison the opponent, which is 10. Able to tackle for 30. That's 40, 60 damage in one turn, which is not like a high damage output, but Weezing also has a lot of HP, only needs 1 energy to attack, and Greninja doesn't even need energy, it's just attacking on the bench. But even if you do switch it out, that's 60 damage, plus the poison, that could be 70, plus the shuriken, that's a lot of damage adding up over time. Even something like Meowth could do, what, 10, 20, 40 damage with a Meowth? That's kind of insane. And then we have our 2 Kogas here, so Weezing gets basically 4 attempts on life if things go right. Could be pretty strong. Let's go back to the decks. Next we have Dragonites. Do we have any Dragonites by themselves? No. Alright, Dragonite Weezing. I'm kind of off. Oh, we do have Dragonite by itself actually. I was off the Dragonite Weezing. At first I thought it was great, but there's 2 ways to run it. Either you run no energy for Weezing, which makes sense. You just build up your Dragonite, you have Weezing be the wall that does some chip, but I don't really like that. There's some like Articuno versions sometimes. Yeah, here we go. Articuno Starmie. I could definitely see that, because if they Sabrina you switch in your Starmie, you can still retreat for free. Articuno has decent HP. It could paralyze, which is good for stall, and it only has 1 retreat cost. And the best part about both of them is you don't even have to waste energy on Misty. I mean, you don't have to waste energy on these cards because you have Misty. Sorry. And then Dragonite can just eat all your energy that you get. It could be a little bit awkward. Sometimes you draw Lightning and you want to attack with Starmie or something, but you just don't have it. This one is using Porygon. Interesting. I didn't actually go through all these beforehand. Definitely some interesting picks here, but I think Dragonite's great, but if it had an EX or something that can make it more consistent, maybe it has an EX that can do Draco Meteor, but also has a secondary attack that takes like 3 energy, does 80 damage, like Dragonair, it could be solid, because sometimes you just need to hit the thing right in front of you. Like, you do your big attack, you do your Draco Meteor, and you need to attack something specific. Maybe even if it was just like a 50, and you get to target anybody on the field, that would be good. This is a Frost Snom deck. I don't mind that as well with Dragonite. But I feel like I've talked about Dragonite too much already. We got Machamp here. I personally really like Machamp. Has one of the best arts in the game, but Machamp is not anybody's star, right? Can we even find Machamp here? Did I pass it? Yeah, I don't think Machamp's even on this. Oh, here he is. A couple of Machamp's decks that do well. I don't think making Machamp have good synergy. They do have the power to blitz through people, but I think it clogs the deck too much. This is okay. Dugtrio only needs 1 energy, could stall for Machamp. This is another version with Kangaskhan. I don't mind that. I think running a stage 2 of Machamp is a bad idea if they take a lot of energy, because the whole point of Machamp is that he gets to ramp up, so something like Kangaskhan works, and Golbat, I could see that. Cover your Mewtwo weakness, but Mankey, I don't like that personally. So yeah, Machamp's down here. Another strategy that I gotta put down here, let's see, Primeape. I personally think Primeape has too little HP for it to actually be the star of anything, but maybe I'm just a hater. I don't know. We don't even need to go through it. Anything else here I want to point out? Arbok and Pidgeot, definitely a cute strategy. I don't think it's good, but ooh, this is the one with Bisharp. I think it's an okay strategy, honestly. Drive Off is an insane ability, but Pidgeot's not anything special itself. 2 energy, 70 damage, 130 HP. 130 HP is the star of it, basically. It does live a Pika hit. Lives basically everything except Mewtwo and Charizard, so that's pretty good. But ultimately, I don't feel like it has enough damage output with this setup. I mean, being able to snipe specific Pokemon is good, I guess, but overall, it's a little clogged up, I feel. I don't know. Maybe that's just me being a hater. And last but not least, I think this is the last at least. Maybe I'll come back and change it after. Is Marowak. I don't think Marowak makes it into my top 10 personally. It just isn't good enough. I can't rely on it, so I'm not going to use something I can't rely on personally. I feel like the game is very inconsistent already when you fight Misty and stuff like that. You don't want your attack to also be dependent on coin flips. You just can't handle that, I don't think. Alright, we might go back. There might be some strategies we'll look at throwing here, like Brock. I do think Brock deserves an honorable mention. Brock can get things done. I like Brock Pidgeot, but enough talking about the honorable mentions. Let's actually get into the top 10, right? It's already been 6 minutes. Y'all been waiting long enough. Number 10, Alakazam. Ignore Jinx. I don't think Jinx makes it into the top Alakazam deck. Maybe. They are like the same card, essentially. Let's look at the top Alakazam decks. See which one I prefer. Alakazam Weezing, strong. You only need 1 Psychic Energy, so as long as you don't get majorly unlucky, this is fine. You could run both energies. Maybe this person wasn't even running dual energies, but I think I could afford it on this. Inconsistent, yes, but I think it's good enough. Looks like most of them are running Weezing. This one's Clefable. I like that. This is one of the few Pokemon that don't mind going first. Like, if you go first, you just evolve into Clefable, get 40 damage. You don't hate that. Same with Weezing, actually. Doesn't mind going first. Actually prefers it. And this one's Alakazam Kangaskhan. Interesting. Well, you get the idea. You put something to tank, you let Alakazam build up, your opponent builds up, Alakazam does big damage. That's it. Pretty simple, pretty good. I think I like that. Next, I didn't really think about this, huh? I think Articuno 18 Trainer is next. Some people think it's cute. I'm not really a fan, personally. I mean, are you gonna win some games? Yes. You're gonna get Misty turn 1 sometimes, and you're just gonna win. Here we go. You're just gonna get Misty, you're gonna get 3 heads, your opponent has only 1 Pokemon on their bench, and you win. Obviously, pretty cheese, but you can win. I don't think that's the best version of Articuno, so we're just gonna say yeah. Here we are. Next up, I think we have Koga. A nice Koga deck, you know? More consistent. You just run Weezing, you run Arbok, and you have a lot of HP. You lock people in, they're poisoned. They're taking a lot of damage. It's a pretty consistent deck. You only need a couple energy. Sometimes you can even throw a Muck in there. Even if Muck gets stuck, you have Koga, so it's mainly just going to be Weezing Arbok, but you could throw a Muck in there. I don't see why not. It's pretty good damage if the opponent's poisoned. If you could just go with Weezing Poison and you've been building up a Muck on the bench, that could be some devastating damage. Especially for something like a Pikachu EX with low base HP. But yeah, all these decks are kind of the same. You get the idea. You run Ekans Arbok with Weezing, and you get stuff done. Next up, who do we put next? Let's see. I know what my top 4, maybe 5 are like, but 6 and 7, it's a debate. Maybe we'll shift some stuff around. but I think we're gonna have Arcanine at 7. Arcanine is in a way a more consistent version of Charizard, but with lower, it has very low lows, but the highs are pretty good. I feel like the highs that it gets are like, turn 1, you lead Moltres, you get Inferno Dance, you get 3 energy. Turn 2, you evolve your Arcanine, you get an X speed, you retreat your Moltres, and then you just attack with Arcanine and you blitz them on like turn 2 or 3. This one actually has Wigglytuff, interesting. But yeah, a lot of these decks are just running like Moltres, Arcanine, and then something on the bench to build up. Because Arcanine doesn't actually need that much to build up, so I could definitely see why they're doing that. And you have a lot of space when you're running Moltres and Arcanine because that's only 6 cards, and most decks have more than 6 cards. Sometimes they're running Aerodactyl, I've seen Wigglytuff, just a lot. This one has regular Arcanine, only 1 prize point. I could definitely see why you would want that. Decent HP as well, 130. Does still take recoil though. But would live a Pikachu, so, you know. Arcanine, pretty solid, pretty solid. Next, I think we got Venusaur. My personal opinion, the best Venusaur deck is Venusaur with Egg. Some people like to run just 2 EX eggs. Some people like to throw in regular Executor as well. And then just 1 EX. I think I like that. I think you want to have multiple eggs lined up because sometimes Venusaur is a little hard to get. It is a stage 3 after all. So I think I like running multiple eggs, multiple regular eggs, just 1 EX. That way they could just tank twice, 2 prize points. If they Sabrina you, you switch into your other egg. And then you let your Venusaur build up. I think I like that personally. This one has Butterfree, I could definitely see that, but running 2 stage 3 is a little too clogged up. Another version of Venusaur I like is Lilligant, but that's basically banking on, I will get Venusaur. With the Executor could do solid damage, consistent damage. Not like, if you count on the 60 or the 80 from getting heads, you can get some inconsistencies. But if you're just in your head like, I'm gonna get 40 damage, I'm gonna get 40 damage, I'm not gonna flip heads, I'm just gonna get 30, I'm just gonna get 40. It does consistent damage from turn 1. And sometimes you do get that heads and then you're great. But yeah, I think this version of Venusaur is very, very solid. Alright, we got 5 slots left. What do you guys think the top 3 are? I wonder. Top 4 even. Next up, number 5. This might be controversial, I guess. I think Blain is a top 5 deck in the game. You just basically beat your opponent before they even get to play the game. And I think that is very strong. A very strong thing to do. And I don't run Farfetch personally, or Red Card. I think replace the potions with Giovanni, and then you have the best version of Blain in my opinion. You just want to get Ponyta, evolve Rapidash, get some consistent damage right away, stack up your Ninetales, and then switch to Ninetales, Flamethrower everything. Kills Mewtwo in 2 shots, can kill Charizard in 2 shots if you get Blain. Just a very consistent deck. I don't think you run Magmar. Magmar is bait. 50 damage, could be 80 with Blain, but 80 HP, 2 energy to attack, I think it's bait. Something like this is probably the best Blain. I say drop both potions, add another X speed, add another Geo, and you got your best version of Blain. Obviously, everyone has their own opinion. Heatmore is weird, but that's my opinion on Blain. I think it's a top 5 deck, and if you don't disagree with me in the comments, I don't know. Do you? Number 4. People might not like this. I got Charizard at number 4. Sorry, Charizard. You're not in the top 3. You're one of the headliners. You just don't make it. And for the simple fact that being a stage 3 holds you back. Do you one-shot everything in the game? Yes, of course. But being a stage 3 just makes it so I can't rely on you. There's going to be games where Charizard is at the bottom of my deck. There's nothing to guarantee me a Charizard here. I can guarantee a Charmander or a Moltres, but I can't guarantee a Charizard. I just gotta draw it. And there's 20 cards in my deck. sometimes I'm gonna get unlucky. And that lack of consistency is what makes Charizard number 4. It's probably the highest deck with a stage 3 in it. The closest is Venusaur. But honestly, most of these decks don't have stage 3s that they rely on. Moltres is a good Pokemon in my opinion. I definitely think as more sets release and more fire types come out, Moltres is gonna outgrow Charizard. Sadly for Charizard. I think Charizard is the first to get replaced in the fire deck. Unless we get some like insane, like we get like rare candy or something. Or just something that could guarantee the evolutions. Yeah, enough yapping about Charizard. Let's get into the top 3. Now the top 3 is spicy. Who do you guys think is number 3? If you answered Articuno Starmie, I think so. Electric may be the most common deck in the game. May be the most consistent deck in the game. But Starmie, if you want consistency, Starmie matches Pika in my opinion. And with the Giovanni and a Greninja, you could take out a Pika in one hit. Personally, I don't think that's how you run Starmie. I think I like Starmie something like this. Drop an X speed for like a Giovanni or something to break certain breakpoints, you know? Maybe you chip a Pikachu with Blizzard a couple times. I don't think you run double red card or double X speed, honestly. This version of Starmie as well I like. But this is Starmie Articuno we're strictly talking about here. Which it looks something like this. I think this is better. 1 X speed is reasonable. I do run 1 X speed in my version as well. I think Starmie, one of the best EXs in the game. 2 energy for 90 damage and 130 HP with a 0 retreat cost is insane. Starmie is one of the most insane cards in the game. Articuno could win you the game in 1 turn if you get Misty Flips correctly. Even then, you only need like 2 energy to get Ice Wing online. You need 3 energy to do Blizzard, you're chipping the bench, so even if you hit something for 80, they retreat. And in like 2 or 3 turns, you're gonna chip them down with Blizzard. And then that's it. You kill an EX, you kill anything, and they're chipped to death. I don't know. They get KO'd, whatever you want to say. Especially if you throw a Froakie line in there somehow. It's just a lot of chip on the bench. But enough talking about Starmie. Let's get into the top 2. Who wins, Mewtwo or Pika? And it's Pika. Pika is the number 1 deck in the game in my opinion. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about Mewtwo. Mewtwo, the thing that puts it above Charizard, way less damage, right? 50 less damage. It's not one-shotting everything in the game. But it has a more consistent energy drawer. And maybe not. I think Moltres, despite being coin flips, you get like 3 or 4 turns with Moltres before Mewtwo gets online. Depending on how their Gardevoir draws go, obviously. But in general, you get a lot more opportunities to flip coins and get energy before they even get to Gardevoir. And it's not like Mewtwo can one-shot Charizard either, so you have a lot of chances to get energy with Charizard. But the thing that sets Mewtwo and Charizard apart is that Mewtwo could just be in the front. Turn 1, start a game, you have Mewtwo. You put 4 energy on Mewtwo, it does its big attack. You can be 18 cards in your deck, and you still don't have a Charizard. You can't do your big damage. You can't evolve. I mean, the same can happen with Gardevoir, but if you get those 4 turns, you get those 4 energy. And we have the 2 Mewtwo's here to tank. So you can get that 4 energy on your Mewtwo. Drop 2 X speed, switch out that Mewtwo and attack. It's not uncommon that that will happen. Sometimes you don't run it, sometimes you run 1, but in general, it's just a good tank. You have Mewtwo dishing out the big damage. You have Gardevoir being the most annoying Pokemon, just supplying infinite energy. Even something like a Sabrina doesn't really matter. Gardevoir just pops an X speed, pops her own ability, switches to Mewtwo. And if Mewtwo has 3 energy already on it, it's just gonna attack you. It's just way too consistent. You don't need really any setup. I mean, obviously you need to set up your Gardevoirs, but even if you don't, 4 turns is not that long to get your damage online. And honestly, Psychic Sphere, Psychic Sphere is a 50 damage attack for 2 energy. That's not bad. That's consistent damage. A lot of the time it's gonna chip whoever you have in the front. if it's not something like a Moltres or something, it's gonna be 2-hit KO most of the time. Maybe 3-hit KO, but in those 3 turns, they got 3 energy, so the next turn they're just gonna side drive. They 3-hit KO you, next turn they side drive, and whatever's on the opposite side just gets KO'd. So yeah, Mewtwo, very consistent, very strong. I don't run it personally. I don't think it's cringe, I don't like the setup like this. I don't like the setup. I don't think Jinx makes the team either. Maybe I'm a hater. But yeah, number 1, Pika. There's like 50 different Pika decks because Pikachu's just that good. And Pikachu is the only deck that runs cards. Like, look, you got Magneton, Magnemite, Zapdos, Raichu, Pikachu. This is actually how I run the deck personally. Except I drop an X-Speed, I add another Surge, I drop a Sabrina, I add a Giovanni. Giovanni, I think, is important for a Raichu deck because it allows you to KO Mewtwo in 1 hit. And I think that's an important breakpoint to have. So if anything, maybe you keep 1 Surge, you keep the double Sabrina. Even though I think Surge is more situationally good than Sabrina. But I can see you only having 1 Surge in the deck. But I cannot see you having this deck without Giovanni. I think no Giovanni's a mistake. Pincurchin obviously can win you games when you're desperate. Even then, it's just like a basic Pokemon you can get down. This one is following what I would say. Have Surge, have Geos, you know, you want to get those breakpoints. This one is running Blitzel, Blitzel strong. Pikachu could chunk something for 90 damage. And even if they switch it out, you switch in Blitzel, you evolve to Zebstrika, you do 30 damage. If it's a bird, they're getting hit for 110. Like if this one of the legendary birds, they're getting hit for 110. They try to retreat, and you just Zebstrika them. Very strong, very consistent. Electrode, 0 retreat cost, 70 damage. He also works with Surge. You can just have your energy on Pikachu. Pikachu gets low. If you have Electrode, you Surge it. If you have Raichu, you Surge it. Very consistent. Zapdos is just here for HP. And the fact that it has a different weakness than everything also matters in some matchups. And honestly, if you chip them a couple times with Peck, you only usually typically need like 1 or 2 coin flips after a couple Pecks. Usually 2 Pecks. But yeah, there's a lot of different Pikachu decks, and that should just show you how good Pikachu is. All these Pokemon around it are viable because you have Pikachu. Even this Zapdos here. I think it's an interesting option. 100 guaranteed damage at the end of the game could definitely be good. Especially if you have something that can eat that 30, because this could result in a draw. Because I think if you KO yourself, like one of your own Pokemon, at the same time, like both the points get added, both people win. But yeah, I've been yapping a lot. You see who's on the list. You see what's not on the list. I think Wigglytuff deserves to be on the honorable mentions. I think Melmetal deserves to be honorable mentions. Centiskorch deserves to be here. Blastoise deserves to be here. Everybody else, you didn't make the cut. Sorry, Lapras, you're not here. Lickitunga's a meme. Executor without Venusaur I don't think is good. Zapdos without Pika is not good. Chinchino is cope. Grapploct is cope. Surge is just Pika, right? So yeah, this is my top 10. If you disagree, go ahead and flame me in the comments. But, dang. It's just slightly too big. This is fine. You get to see everything right here. This is my tier list for Pokemon Pocket. If you disagree, tell me what you think. Tell me who you would change. Is Arcanine actually better than Charizard? Is Blain cope? Is Articuno 18 Trainer not even deserve to be here? Is Alakazam really bad? Is Starmie Articuno overhyped because Pika's #1? Let me know what you think in the comments, but with that being said, this is going to be Delta Neon out. Peace.